Despite all the complications and long filming times, the average film set goes relatively smoothly. There might be ups and downs here and there with shooting times, actors, and of course the director, but overall things go relatively smoothly, as they have been creating these projects for years now. However, Hollywood is still full of mystique, wonder, and of course intriguing set stories, as things can go wrong all the time. Sometimes we have fatal productions, and a lot of films garner more attention due to what happened on set than the finished product itself. Many of these films are often called cursed, as the entertainment industry is definitely full of scandal, conspiracy, and misfortune. Despite the overall consensus being that film sets are safe and pretty smooth, things can of course go wrong. There are a few noteworthy projects that have been given the name cursed, as such notions are often easily written off as coincidences. However, some of these movie productions would genuinely be called cursed, as something went on behind the scenes that changed things forever. So, let's take a closer look at some of these movies with deadly productions, from the 1994 version of The Crow to the recent Rush shooting involving Alec Baldwin. Here are movies with cursed productions and what truly went down behind the scenes.
Can you hear me, Kurt? You're going to die now.
First of all, let's discuss possibly one of the most iconic cursed movie productions of all time. Brandon Lee plays a murdered musician who is resurrected to exact revenge on the deaths of both himself and his fiancée. Lee is the son of the legendary martial arts legend and movie star Bruce Lee. This was, of course, the iconic 1994 version of The Crow. This film already had triple production before something truly awful happened. For years, it was hard to get this film actually going. Despite that, the film was highly anticipated by everybody, as Brandon Lee was a phenomenal actor. However, sadly, tragedy struck the set when the 28-year-old Lee was fatally wounded during a scene. In this scene, his character is shot after witnessing his fiancée being assaulted. This should have gone smoothly, as prop guns were in use on the set, especially back in 1994. Actor Michael Massey's character ended up firing a .44 Magnum Smith & Wesson Model 629 at the actor when he walked into the room. This all went according to plan, or at least according to the proper system. The proper system was unaware of a rule for inspecting all of the firearms and making sure that the barrel was not checked for any obstructions. They were, of course, not using real guns, but prop guns can still do a great deal of harm if debris gets caught in the barrel. It can basically turn the prop gun into a real gun if everything goes wrong. And sadly, everything did go wrong, as a bullet from the dummy round was trapped in the barrel and caused the .44 Magnum bullet to be fired vertically, with the same force as the live round. This was absolutely insane, as the actor was basically shot with a real gun on set without anybody realizing it.
No, you mean that place downtown? Yeah, I remember her. We needed to put some fear into that little lady. She wasn't going along with our tenant relocation program.
Lee was suddenly struck in the abdomen and succumbed to his injury after 6 hours of unsuccessful emergency surgery. This completely shut down the set of the film, but the vast majority of it was actually already shot. Michael Massey himself was traumatized by the incident, as anybody actually would be, so he took a year off of acting and never saw the film. Around 12 years later, during an interview back in 2005, he revealed that to this day, he still had nightmares over death. He said he'd never get over something like that, and it completely broke his soul. And honestly, it was heartbreaking for everybody else as well, as Brandon Lee was a phenomenal man and a phenomenal actor. But The Crow lived on, as the film was eventually released, as most of it had already been shot, as we said earlier. It's an extremely iconic film, even with the cursed movie production surrounding it. It's such a shame that this thing happened back then and can sadly still happen up to this day. The next film is a slight deviation from what happened in The Crow, but is equally weird. Poltergeist is one of the most iconic horror films of all time.
Robbie, come on. Why? Well, he's not used to having other pets around. Robert, how would you like it if I brought home a new baby?
That's even better than a kitten. Mom, I have a great idea.
No, we are not buying it.
As the 1982 supernatural flick follows a suburban family whose home is invaded by spirits that try to abduct their daughter. It's written and based on the screenplay by the iconic director Steven Spielberg and is absolutely amazing even to this day. I mean, come on, this film still holds up, doesn't it? The problem with a film like this, though, is that it had some weird incidents on set that made people think the poltergeist was real. Child star Heather O'Rourke shined as Carol in the various installments of the franchise, but suddenly passed away due to septic shock before the release of Poltergeist 3. She was just 12 years old at the time. Her on-screen sister, Dominique Dunn, was tragically strangled to death by her ex-boyfriend, dying at age 22 from her injuries 5 days later. Are you spotting a trend here? Yes, there is a general agreement that the poltergeist itself has
I thought so when.
Here, at the mall, at our house. Who is he?
Tell me what you feel. Just tell me what you feel.
What do you want me to do? Who is he?
cursed the actors in this movie. It sounds crazy, but let's get deeper into it. Aside from these heartbreaking deaths, of course, Poltergeist was plagued with various weird incidents and revelations, such as the fact that there were real skeletons used in the film. This made many fans superstitious about the film, as they claimed that the original Poltergeist curse came from the film itself. It gets even weirder though, as things change from here on out. You might think it's just a little bit of a conspiracy, but the film gets darker from here. In the first film, Oliver Robbins was nearly strangled to death by the animatronic clown that tormented the characters. This was of course not the plan, and Steven Spielberg luckily saw what was happening and managed to free Robin just in time. This was crazy, as everything should have been safe on set, but I guess the animatronic might have had a mind of its own. I guess Five Nights at Freddy's wasn't lying, right? The actor Richard Lawson would then survive a plane crash in 1992, around a decade after the film was released. This plane crash claimed the lives of 27 of its 51 passengers, but he was gifted a first-class seat after giving his autograph, which ultimately saved his life. The person in his original seat died, showing that he truly was saved that day. I know we've said it a few times already, but things do get even worse from here. The production of Poltergeist 2 was so spooky that actor Will Sampson, a real-life shaman, ended up performing an exorcism to get rid of alien spirits. I guess the set really was cursed. Maybe they shouldn't have messed with this sort of story in the first place, right? But honestly, all jokes aside, it's truly terrible what happened to all of these people. Many people died due to the supposed curse that the film brought up on its actors, and it's really sad to see. We might like digging deep into these films, but what happened is truly tragic. Speaking of tragedies, let's rock with today's video by, of course, talking about Rust. Mirroring what happened in The Crow back in the 1980s, Alec Baldwin accidentally shot and killed someone on the set of the film Rust. We can't really get into too many details here, as the court case is still ongoing, but it was truly tragic and shows that even modern films are plagued by this sort of thing. All of these films that we reference today are plagued with tragedy, and it's really sad to see. Please let us know in the comment section below what you thought about today's video, as well as leave your love for those who have since passed. We hope you enjoyed today's video.